Right, here we are. I don't usually do this. It's normally for the boxing, and even that hasn't been happening lately. But I feel like the hell with it. I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about, and if you want to listen, good for you. Yeah, you're a man of extraordinary taste. And if you don't, I don't give a bollocks. Yeah. But we're gonna get into this rap beef. We're gonna get into Drake versus everyone. I mean, Drake is like Israel right now, right? I mean, like Drake versus everybody, whoever wants it, bro. Do you know what I mean? Hamas, Yemen, you know what I mean? Hezbollah, Iran, whoever wants it, you can all get it, yeah? Drake came out swinging. Yeah. And I mean, you can call me a dick rider if you want, yeah. I mean, you can call me a glizzy glazer if you want, yeah. But I feel like Drake absolutely bodied everyone, man. And something I just want to talk about, something I just want to get off my chest, yeah, is that it's crazy to me how biased people's opinions are and how little people's opinions are based on any semblance of fact, right? It's like sometimes, like when people get their narrative on, like the facts just go out the window, right? Like, and so chief among them is like, oh, everyone's scared of Kendrick, man. Everyone's scared of Kendrick. No one wants it with Kendrick, man. Like, I mean, I kind of call myself a reasonable hip hop fan, you know, call myself reasonable. I keep up to date here and there, right? I've been following Kendrick for like, I mean, at least the last decade, right? Minimum, yeah. Like, what stripes has Kendrick got exactly? Do you know what I mean? A couple of jabs with Big Sean, you know, the control verse that came and went in 3 weeks. You know, it was exactly what Drake said it was. Like it was big for 2, 3 weeks, and then everyone forgets about it. And uh, nobody really responded, and so that was that, right? But where does Kendrick get this mythical, like, does he get these mythical powers from exactly? Because it's one thing to be able to like make like conscious and socio-political commentary rap like Kendrick does a really good job of. And listen, I'm a fan, right? I'm a fan of all of these guys. Well, a couple of exceptions, but the big three, I'm a big, I respect all of them, right? But it's a different discipline to be able to like go back and forth, right? With the diss tracks. And just look at Drake's resume. Like a lot of people either they just don't know, they just don't know any better, or like they just have like mad hater in them, yeah. And the hater in them just like warps their ability to see like the truth that's staring them in the face, yeah. Drake has come out with bars for like just off the top of my head, yeah. Common, Kanye, Push, Meek Mill, like, do you know what I mean? Like Diddy, like like a couple of bars, you know what I mean, for Joe Budden, yeah. Like, and that's just with that, not even counting all the sneak disses, yeah. Like, that's a, I mean, that's a serious like 5 or 6 right there, you know, who are like respected in this game, right? And I'm pretty sure I'm missing a couple that I can't even think of right now, yeah. And when you've got that kind of resume, like you can't rule somebody like that out. The idea that like Drake was scared or this and that, he sent Cole in first. Like we ain't even getting to get into the whole Cole thing because I imagine at this point the whole Cole's fucking like emotional breakdown has been probably like spoken about to death, right? So I ain't even gonna cover that. But I would just say this Drake reply push-ups, yeah, for me, it's got everything you want in a diss track, yeah, or a diss response, should you say. Like, you know what I mean? He's addressed everyone. He's addressed Future, he's addressed Kendrick, he's addressed Metro Boomin, Weeknd, um, ASAP Rocky, Rick Ross. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Maroon 5 caught a stray. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they probably weren't expecting that one. But yeah, he just addressed everybody that's talking shit, bro. And and it's a head nodder. Do you know what I mean? He's really rapping. It's not like one of these like here's one thing I don't respect here. Like, whatever is your issue, yeah, in that particular art form, in that particular discipline, yeah, whatever is your issue, I only respect it if you put it in your bars, man. If you're not putting it in your bars, I don't respect it. Like, you see Rick Ross come out, clearly that shit was pre-recorded. Clearly the raps were pre-recorded, man. And like the last maybe, if that, like 20-30%, he's probably added on to the end. And you can tell from the production that there's like a gap. Do you know what I mean? Between the shit that is pre-recorded and the shit that he probably like laced just after he heard, you know what I mean, Drake's track. And so that's the okay. I guess like for the kids that don't know no better, it's like, oh, like Rick Ross came straight back. But like anyone that really understands this game, like, do you know what I mean? That like that shit was majorly pre-recorded, yeah. And but the main point I was trying to make is that he come out with all this stuff on the end where he's just talking. Like he's just talking about the nose job and he's just talking about, you know, all this racial stuff, which is just like, even if you are putting that in your bars, I don't respect it, right? But like, yeah, you're just talking greasy. Like you may as well just get yourself, you may as well just go to Best Buy, get yourself a couple of microphones and like start a podcast if that's what you're gonna do, man. Like even if that's the angle that you want to take here, and I definitely think that the racial one is just it's not for me, but like even if that's the angle that you want to take here, you can still kind of give somebody some an MC some stripes if they're putting it in their bars. But if you're out here talking about like plastic surgery and like you're just ad-libbing at the end and talking about racial stuff, and it's just like you ain't even rapping. Do you know what I mean? Like you're now now what are you? What you a podcaster now? Are you some kind of like are you some kind of like TMZ like chatty patty? Like it's this that's BS, man. I don't rate that at all. Um and I'm on that topic, it's like even the stuff about post on Instagram. I think Drake's made a couple of Instagram posts. Like, if you're an MC, I don't even rate that, man, because whatever you're saying is it's giving a tell to what your angle is gonna be or what your position is, and you should probably just save that, man. Just put it in your rap. You know what I mean? If you feel like you know they've picked on you just to sell their records, and you know you ain't really done nothing, and like this is just a sign of how desperate they are, you know, and they're selling you out whatever you put out on his Instagram. Put it in your rhymes, man. But still, like Drake came with bars, you know what I mean? And I'm someone that's partial to like a faster delivery speed. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear all that slow rap. Even when you think about the whole Pusher situation, like Duppy was the better track. You know what I mean? Out of our infrared Duppy and Story of Added On, Duppy was the standout track, hands down, you know, like in terms of the actual bars, you know, and Story Added On had the whole shock value, it had the whole salacious, do you know what I mean, sleaze value to it. But when you really listen to the rap, like the shit is like 2 minutes long. It's got like a 30-second intro, it's got like a 20-second outro. There's probably like a minute worth of rap in there. And even that is like a super slow delivery. So if you take out the whole like salacious value of like Drake having a kid, you know, with an ex-porn star or whatever, like the actual skill level is non-existent. You know what I mean? So yeah, with push-ups, like he's really put it down. Um, I see some people online talking about like, I don't believe Drake really wrote that and ghostwriters and whatever. It's like, hey, you kind of you can't have it both ways because some of the greatest people in rap, yeah, like famously Dr. Dre, people who just like I don't understand why, but they have him in their like top five and whatever. Like Dre didn't write any of his rhymes. Do you know what I mean? Barely, maybe a couple of his early ones. Do you know what I mean? Like in NWA, even if that. But as a solo artist, Dre never wrote anything, right? And it's true for so many of your favorite records that they were written by other people. So it's like why like why is it only ever an issue for like Drake. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, and the other thing is that I'm not even sure how much I believe that, to be honest with you, because when people are using ghostwriters, you can kind of see the tells. You kind of see that they can't maintain the same style over a long period of time. And there isn't that much consistency in the flow. But even going back to like Drake's mixtape from before he was even signed, like it's the same, like, okay, it's not the same flow. Like, I mean, who wants to listen to someone rapping the same flow for 15 years? But like you can still see that Drake signature from what he did 15 years ago to what he does now. So it's like it's hard to maintain if you're using ghostwriters that same essence. So I'm not even sure how much I believe it. I mean, does he probably have a team? Yeah, but I think like every top tier rapper has a team. Do you know what I mean? Just to help give inspiration. But do I think that like he hasn't written a word of it and someone's just giving him a sheet of paper? No, I don't believe that at all. Um, so yeah, man. And I think right now it's all on Kendrick, man. It's all on Kendrick. You got us all excited. I mean, you were the one that came out with the like that verse. You were the one that came out with control and never really followed it up. You know what I mean? It's one thing. It's something that I think is gonna play out. Yeah, it's one thing to be able to drop a hot verse. Like that's one skill. It's another thing to be able to drop a whole diss track. Do you know what I mean? Where you can't just come in and deliver the shock value because one thing that like with the I don't want to go into the whole Cole situation, but even with the whole Cole track here, it's like he had some moments in there, but the thing people judge diss tracks on is are you able to maintain the shock value? Because a lot of like the intrigue, just to break down the psychology of why people like care about diss tracks, is that it's a mechanism of airing one's grievances, yeah, or essentially having a form of like social political discourse, but and almost like sport and combat, but through music, right? And so, people come for like the sort of like the competitive nature of it, but they stay for how much they are entertained musically, right? So that's why Push was really smart when he had the long intro and the long outro, and he had the high shock value. And so people didn't really notice that you're only really rapping for barely a minute. There isn't a hell of a lot there. But to be able to maintain that over a whole track, you know what I mean, with just bars on bars on bars, it's not for everyone. And I think J. Cole showed that, right? He had a couple of slick lines in there, but there was significant moments in like the 3 minutes and 34 seconds where you could start to zone out a bit, you know? And I think like J. Cole probably knows, hey, you know what? But this isn't necessarily like my preferred creative, outlet. I'm not necessarily experienced in this. And I think you might find the same with Kendrick. I'm just putting out there right now. Yeah. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he can't do it. But the way like Drake's been doing this with his timestamp records and with the records where he's dissed other people or responded, you know, that is something that you've either got experience doing or you haven't. And I think, you'd have to imagine Kendrick's already got a couple in the tuck. And you wouldn't even drop a verse unless you had enough material for a full diss track. But whether or not like when you're listening to it, it maintains interest. I'm just saying, yeah, you still got to show me. You still got to show me, K dot. I mean, so that's my analysis. And yeah, man, peace. It's kind of ironic after all this dissing going around, but yeah, um, as long as like the world doesn't end with like the real beef going on, peace.